Most at this point, I'd like to open the floor for charity, for economic upliftment. I want to draw from real quick one instruction from the Holy Quran and Moorish Science Temple of America entitled Charity. Moors, as Moorish American Muslims, we are indeed Muslims. Islam Moors, as a Muslim, you have certain things that are mandatory for you. One of those things, pardon self, is charity, right? In Arabic, you have the word zakat. Zakat comes from the root meaning to wipe away or to make clean, right? I'm gonna use an example. I know this is a holy day, but it is what it is. When I grew up in New Jersey, it was crack era, right? There was a lot of brothers in the street getting unlawful money. Islam? Money that for a Muslim is considered haram, which means forbidden, right? But these ones knew that, and I grew up around cats that was getting tens and 20s of millions, that type of stuff. But they knew of a surety that the way to balance their karma somewhat was to give back. You know what I mean? I used to rap when I was younger, so a lot of the talent shows and stuff that I attended was dudes that was drug dealers that threw uplifting acts for the community, so on and so forth. So we wouldn't have to do what they did. Islam was? All right? There's an understanding that comes, I'm gonna raise the ethers a little bit. There's an understanding that comes with when Allah has blessed you with something, it's your obligation to return it. There was one named Muhammad Ahmed from the Sudan. And Muhammad Ahmed, he's known as the Mahdi of the Sudan. And he wrote a book called the Ratib, and the Ratib means the unshakable, right? And in the Ratib, he says that wealth that's given to you is not yours, but that it is entrusted to you that you would do the right thing with it. Islam? And this instruction of charity, it says just one instruction. Holy instructions from the Prophet, Charities, chapter 32. Happy is the man who has sown in his breast the seed of benevolence. The produce thereof shall be charity and love. Islam Moors? So I'm quite sure Sister Secretary took, Sister Acting Secretary, took the basket around. I want to give honors to all you who gave. I want to give honors to all you who wanted to give but couldn't. For all those who didn't have the financial, the actual cash dollars on you, you could go to Cash App, and that's hashtag MSTA19 charity. And that's at any point, not just during temple meetings. Anytime you want to contribute to this divine and national movement, you can do so through that. Again, hashtag MSTA19 charity. Islam Moors? Praise Allah. Now, again, not burden you all. And again, before I go into this last closing measure, I want to say, I want to thank all those who are here presently gathered today, because I know it's hot in here and my air conditioner died out on me, right? As happens, when you own your own business, things happen, right? Allah willing, it'll be fixed by next Friday. So thank you for suffering together with me. I'm sweating too under the turban, so I just want to let you know that, all right? So I want to, demonstrate a concept which is Moorish Americans, what is your foundation? Moorish Americans, what is your foundation? Why do I ask that? Because what does it mean to be Moorish American? In fact, who was it that returned the nationality of Moorish American to us? Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Did anybody else come and tell us we was Moorish Americans? Did anybody else, establish an institution for us so we could learn the truth about our nationality and birthrights and our divine creed? Did anybody else put a fez upon our head that wasn't marked but just was the plain truth? Islam? Anybody else give us a fez with an unbound tassel? Anybody else give us a turban for the sisters, a crescent pen representing an open third eye? Anybody else give us our Il and Bay, connecting us with two halves of our global empire? No one else did that. You sure? That's for the record, right? All right? So if no one else did that, that means that when it comes to what it means to be Moorish American, you got to put both together. Because, there's a degree that says, I did not so receive it, neither shall I so impart it. Right? Relative to that, you can't just take something, right, that was given to you a particular way, take it and do the remix and put it back out. Puff Daddy on them. Islam, you don't, that's unlawful. Islam, anybody know anything about copyright law? basic copyright law, right? So if I have a logo, right, and you take my logo and you put it out as is, without my permission, that's called what? Copyright what? Infringement. But if you take my logo and you add one thing to it, is it still copyright infringement? No. Or is it the original thing? Or is it the original logo? If you add to it, is it the original thing? Okay, so if you take Moorish science, all right, as given by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and you take and add to it or take away from it, is it still the original thing? No, it's not. It's a whole nother thing. It's called what do you call it biologically? Mutation. When a cell becomes abnormal and is no longer found in its original form. Islam? So if I take the Prophet's clean fast and I put words and rhinestones all and stuff like that, that's not a Moorish fast. It's a fast, but it's not a Moorish fast. Islam? You can take the name, whatever. Let's say John Williams-El. That's lawful in the Moorish Science Temple of America. You can take the name Abdul Hakim Bey in the Moorish Science Temple of America, right? But you can't take the name Abdul Hakim El Bey. Did the Prophet give it to us like that? So if you do that, then you're mutating what he brought, right? He said, Act 4, all members must preserve these holy and divine laws. Preserve. In chapter 47, he comes back and says you must strictly preserve, right? So not just keep it, right? But you must guard it with your life. The more that's on the door, he's strictly preserving it. It's something, that's the hardest post in any temple, right? Whoever's on the door, take the first hit. Islam? Like if I come as an aggressor and I want to force take a building, right? Whoever's on the door, I got to take him out first. That's why you want to make sure whoever's on the door is upright, independent, and fearless. Islam was? You know, the Prophet Solomon demonstrated that. He said, I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of the Lord, right? You know, than a ruler on Rome's throne. Islam? All right? So the reality of it is, let's get to, again, in the Sheikh, again, there's a power that actuates itself on Holy Day when the Moorish American prayer is recited, and the Divine Constitution and bylaws, and we stand before these two flags, because the Sheikh went into the chapter in Moorish literature that I was going to start off with, so praise Allah. Moorish leaders' historical message to America, right? Because again, what I'm saying is, Moorish Americans, what's your foundation, right? And again, it's Moorish literature, right? Let's talk about the foundation, because if you don't know what your foundation is, you won't know what it is to be Moorish American. Islam? It reads, starting off on page 18, right? And this is the Prophet talking to the citizens of the United States of America. Islam? Says, in connection with the aims, objects, rules, and regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization covering its inception, rise, and progress, and of the Mohammedan religion, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means of causing you at all times to adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your relation with mankind in general. Let me stop there. Do you see how our Prophet talked? That's Noble Drew Ali talking right there. You hear the level of grammar? Eloquent, Muslim. In Arabic, there's a term, tabligh, which comes from the word balaga, right? Which means to be elegant at something or eloquent at something, right? Because in order to propagate the faith, you have to be eloquent to a degree in order to get the people to understand not just what you're saying in the letter, but the spirit of what you're saying. Islam? All right? So always remember, study the prose of the Prophet. It'll elevate how you conduct yourself verbally. Islam? So he ain't just trying to teach you a bunch of history and all that. That comes with it, right? But he's trying to teach you how to be a better human being, a better Moorish American, a better American citizen. Islam? And if you're called to come and speak before government, you have to speak like this. Islam? Have you ever heard a senator or House representative get before Congress or the Senate and speak in slang or broken English? No, American citizens don't speak like that. Ex-slaves do, but not citizens. Islam, Morris? Moving forward. It says, I further most anxiously hope this brief statement will help you to more clearly see the duty and wisdom of at all times upholding those fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization of our posterity. Pay attention, Morris. Such as obedience to law, respect, loyalty to government, tolerance, and unity. I didn't hear the word anarchy nowhere in there. I didn't hear the word don't pay your taxes nowhere in there. I didn't hear the word hate the government nowhere in there. I didn't hear the phrase overthrow the government nowhere in there. So where do we get this spirit from? Islam, Moors? You know, it's a spirit that comes about because of the trauma of what we've been through, right? But you stand up, clean yourself, keep your heart and mind pure with what? And your body clean with Islam, Moors? That's the law. Islam? And these are the holy and divine laws. Now the prophet goes into how we came about. It says, we organized. Let me stop there. He could have put a period after that, couldn't he? We organized. Islam? Because if you're not organized, can you do anything that he's about to say? Islam? All this stuff that's going on in the streets, the protests and so on and so forth, it's for naught if the people are not organized to subsequently submit an agenda with demands and follow through. Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. What does that mean? If you don't have your list of demands together, right, and the resolve enough to follow it through, right, it's something bigger than just petitioning a House representative or congressman or whatever, say this is what we want. You know, there's a process to that, right? You got to draw it up, you got to submit it, goes to a committee, they debate it in the committee, and what they're doing is they're restructuring the language. Because everything can't be spoken of on the floor or in a certain way. Your language might be off. They might give it back to you. You got to rearrange the language of it. The language is wrong. Islam, Moors? Meaning you got to get with those that know the language of law. Right? I don't mean a cat that picked up a Black's Law Dictionary and read a couple pages talking about now he's a jurist. That ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about somebody that lived their life. Like, in other words, I've been in Moorish Science of America 19 years. Islam? The first 3-4 years I thought I was, when I was here, I thought I was the coldest thing on earth. Till I talked to somebody who had been on the path a little longer. I got some more studying to do. And the studying was of myself. Islam, Moors? So same thing. So you think you're actually going to run up on an attorney who's been practicing, not just philosophizing about law, but practicing law. Islam? So we must promote and practice. But these ones practice law, procedures, so on and so forth, and just you think you're going to bedazzle them with some words. Yeah. I'm going to tell you something, I'm going to be honest, quite honest. I was in the Moorish Science for about 6 years. I had a client that was an attorney. So I was Mr. Black Law Dictionary at that point. And I was trying to impress my attorney. The attorney that was in my chair, I'm talking to him, I'm hitting him with all that, and he's smiling. He knows what I'm doing. He said, you know what? And I'm telling him all the position of the Moors, the treaty, I was about all them arguments, right? He hit me with this. He hit me with a word that made me have to go look it up and realize how stupid my argument was. He said, you know what? You hit me with a lot of interesting things. He said, however, you have not presented me with a cogent argument. I said, cogent? Cogent. So I shut up, because I'm one that if you hit me with something I know not to talk past that. I was smart enough to know that. So I went home and researched cogent. And my argument was all over the place. Islam Moors, I'm quoting treaty, I'm quoting international law, I'm in constitution, I'm in local law, state law. Pick your venue, what you talking about? Islam, but you have to be taught to do that. Islam, which is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who was a prophet of Allah, had an attorney. His name was Brother Aaron Payne-El. Islam Moors? All right, let me move forward. It says, we organized as the Moorish Temple of Science in the year 1925. Moors, we didn't start yesterday. And were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois. Moors, what's civics? It's the laws that, that treat of what? Or flesh it out. It's the same root, but give me member, which is citizen. Islam. You're in the ballpark, Mo. Islam. All right? He says, November 29th, 1926. Well, Rafa, I know you're on post more, but could you please tell me historically what happened on November 29th? Remember you texted me that a long time ago?
November 29th? 1492?
Yes.
November 9th, 1492 is the day on which the Moorish Empire was on the throne.
Yes. The Prophet reorganized us on the same date that we got overthrown in 1492. He was bringing us back. May Allah bless you, Mom. It says the name Moorish Temple of Science was changed to Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928, in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of Illinois. So the prophet's following the legal path. Islam wasn't being radical and agitated. And what else you'll notice is the prophet wasn't filing a whole bunch of documents. He was filing things to set us up as a legal organization. Islam? The object of our organization is to help in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity and teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. Citizens, right? A national organization with a Rotarian complexion as it relates to branch temples became obvious with the increasing numbers of inquiries from men and women in different sections of the country concerning the purpose of the organization. There are branch temples in 15 different states at this time. It's way more than that now. Now keep in mind that Rotarian complexion means that he wanted us to present ourselves to the world as businessmen and women, right? The group, the Rotary Club, who was a group of businessmen and women who get together, raise finances to do things like scholarships for children and endowments, and that's what the prophet wanted for the movement. The more brother Acting Raphael Hakeem Bey did an excellent post the other day talking about, I might slop up your post, most important stuff. But he's basically saying that, children that come through the Moorish Science Temple of America should never have to worry about college because we should hit them with grants and, scholarships and all types of stuff through the temple, right? Islam. That way their nationality card that's in their pocket won't burn up. It'll mean something. Islam? But if members ain't paying their dues, or if we're not getting together to raise finances, right? Where's the money gonna come from? Don't ask your enemy for the money, your open enemies, because then it's no longer your movement. You have to fund your own freedom. Islam? Since the work of the Moorish Science Temple of America was largely religious, the organization has been legally changed to a religious corporation. Corporation. Did the prophet say he was against corporations? Well, the United States is corporate. Where did that come from? It didn't come from us. I'm going to say that for the record. It didn't come from us. Islam Moors? Changed to a religious corporation, and an affidavit to this effect has been properly filed, not just filed, properly filed in the Cook County Recorder's Office of Illinois. Now, there's ones that say you can be Moorish American without being Muslim. You can be Moorish American without dealing with Islam or Islamism. Well, let's see what the prophet said. Let's see what the one that put the fez and turban on your head, let's see what he said. Inspired by the lofty teachings of the Quran, we have it as the revealed word of God Allah. We shall, meaning we're going to do this, right? We shall foster the principles of its teaching among our members, meaning that we're not forcing it on nobody else. If you become a member, then we will foster it amongst our members. Islam? This is our religious privilege as what? Y'all can say that loud like you mean it, like you really mean it. As American citizens, under the laws of one of the greatest documents of all time, the UCC code, right? He didn't say that? Well, what did he say? The greatest documents of all time, the what? The American Constitution. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali said the American Constitution is one of, he didn't say it was the greatest, but it's one of the greatest. Why do you say it was one of the greatest documents ever of all time? Why does he say that? The Prophet says it's a new era of time now, right? What does the American Constitution offer that didn't exist in the ancient world? Anybody know? And use your Quran to prove it. Unfold that thought, man. What do you mean?
Islam, I rise, giving all praise to Allah, the Father of the universe, highest of honor to his noble and divine prophet Noble Drew Ali.
Islam.
Yeah, I'm floundering right now. But so I know he talks about the Constitution, the American Constitution, being the greatest document in these days and times, because it gives one the ability to have that dual citizenship.
Give me a flesh that out. You're saying dual citizenship. What do you mean? I'm going to get your understanding.
Just simply the Moorish American.
Okay. Free national name and descent.
Name and descent name.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. That's a beautiful thought. Brother Raphael, you have one?
Chapter 30, verse 1, and chapter 31, verse 1.
Social duties?
Social duties and
30?
justice.
And just Islam. Praise Allah, right? I would assert chapter 2 of instruction 13. Prophet says, an age had passed, right? So that means, a former era had passed away. The gate unto another age flies open at the touch of time. This is the preparation age of soul, the kingdom of Emmanuel, of Allah and man, right? What does that mean? That means that in this era, man and woman is to take control of their own destiny, right? Could you do that under a monarchy? Why?
Bound to another person's will.
Right, because the sovereignty of the nation was bound in one person. What is the title given to our ruler in Morocco?
Sultan.
Sultan. The Sultan was the absolute ruler. What the Sultan said was law, and that's it. You didn't have no other choice in it. Islam? I have a book here. For those taking notes, I'd like you to write it down. If you're a maniac like me, the book is $50 on Amazon. I paid it. I'm invested in knowledge. But it says, the Book of Government or Rules for Kings, right? And this is written by Nizam al-Mulk, right? Nizamalmulk. And this is the actual handbook written by the wazir under the Sultan in the Turkish court under the Ottoman Empire around the year 1000. And all in here, this was passed all the way down throughout the Moorish Empire. You had a lot of sultans and wazirs that used this for their court in secret, right? This wasn't for the common man, right? This was for rulers, the rulers and the rich, the lions, right? In that they get to showing you the letter of the law, the harsh letter of the law, right? They had one in here called the commander of the guard. The duty of the commander of the guard was to chop off heads, hands, feet, so on and so forth, for ones that were in violation of the law. That's under Islamic monarchy. Islam? But it's a new era of time now. Our prophet proclaimed that. And in Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution, they say this is a Republican form of government. Not Democrat Republican, but Republican from Republicus, meaning back to the people, right? So in this land, right, it's an experiment which is not new but ancient, right? But an experiment to see what would happen if we put the power of rule in the hands of the people, right? Through elected representatives. So the people have a vote, right? Which the prophet called a sacred ballot. He didn't just say a ballot. Sacred infers that it's a holy and divine act. Vote comes from the word votive or votary, which means an act or speaking or declaring the will of a God. So if you're a God, man, or woman, then you should be dealing with the vote, right? Because you're casting your will to shape the collective society. Right? Now, if you don't do your vote, right, then you're a belated beast of burden, according to Prophet Noble Trial. Islam? Marcus Garvey said ignorance carries the burden. Islam? Islam.
Who's the
Author of that? Nizam al-Mulk. It's Nizam al-Mulk, which is AL-MULK. Maybe if time permits, I'll read a section out of that. All right? So again, this is the kingdom of Emmanuel, or the era of Emmanuel, the age, all right, of Allah and man. So you got to demonstrate being Allah in the earth. That's what time it is. Islam? So if things ain't going right, what you doing, Allah? What's up, Allah? What you complaining about? Oh, you not Allah. Oh, you a slave to somebody else's ideal, so you complain, right? But I thought your will was strong. But when the will of Allah and the will of man are one, what happens? What's a fact? Resurrection. So the mental dead, you can resurrect yourself from the mental dead, run through the cemetery, kicking over headstones, waking up people. Islam? And when a Moor opens his mouth, he wake up people. Islam? It says, now check the prophet out about Islam. Now the prophet's going into this degree of why Moorish Americans are Muslims. The Mohammedan religion is the least appreciated and probably the most misunderstood of the world's great religions. So he's telling you from the outset, what you think about it, this is not what you think it is, all right? This is especially true in our Western world. Try to understand what Mohammedanism stands for and some of the things it has contributed to the world. Now, the ones that made these changes that the prophet's about to mention were Muslims, okay? He said Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. He didn't say Islam. Muhammad was not the founder of Islam. He's the founder of the Mohammedan religion, or his treatment of Islam. or the ancient thought, right? It originated meaning the Mohammedan religion, or his treatment of it, originated 13 centuries ago on the Arabian Peninsula, where the streams of commerce and culture met and mingled in the Middle Ages, where the markets of exchange were stationed for the treasures of India and the products of the Mediterranean coast. There, this religion was established in an unprecedented period of 20 years. And unlike many other religions, without the age of any royal patronage and support. Buddhism had its Ashoka, Judaism had its Joshua, Christianity had its Constantine, but Mohammedanism had no person of royal rank and power to assist in its establishment and spread. Now, let's talk. Prophet Muhammad was born 570 AD. He passed form 632, right? Now, his first revelation came in 610, meaning that his period of prophethood was 22, 23 years, okay? 22, 23 years. All right, now, after he passed form in 632, the Moors in 711 AD took Islam and went and conquered Spain, the Iberian Peninsula, and ruled it for 800 years, right? Meaning that from 632 to 711, it's about like 78 years, right? So meaning that after Prophet Muhammad passed, Islam spread across all of northern Africa. What does that mean, right? There was no cars back then. There were no airplanes. When those trains couldn't get on the MARTA train and ride it. You know what I'm saying? Ones was walking, camels, horses, right? Word of mouth. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. From 78 years, it took them to conquer all of northern Africa and go into Spain and rule it for 800 years. What you doing with your time, Morris? Y'all got internet, social media. This is the age they wish they had. They did more in their day than we do now. We have more. How? How is that possible? We'll get to that in a minute, right? It says, today this religion is acknowledged by nearly 250 million souls and extends over an area to 1/3 of the globe, right? From Arabia, it spread eastward. And listen to how it spread, right? And when you're saying the Islamic Empire, you're talking about the Moorish / Asiatic Empire as well, right? So listen, these are all Asiatics. It says, from Arabia, it spread eastward over Persia, Turkestan, and Afghanistan. Westward across Syria, Asia Minor, and Turkey. Southwards to Africa, covering more than half of that continent, which is more than that now. Most of the inhabitants of Africa are Muslims, okay? It found its way to India and beyond to the islands of Sumatra, Java, and Borneo. Now you could say Indonesia. And in Indonesia is the most populous Muslim country to this day, okay? To the early representatives of this faith, the world's debt is incalculably great. That's why you have a group of people called the Shriners. A group of Europeans, right, who are known as the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine, who build multi-million-dollar edifices that look like mosques. Oh, but Islam don't mean nothing, though. Islam, Morris? Do you spend your money on something that don't mean nothing? Why are they doing that? Because Islam saved them from barbarity. Who gave it to them? Our forefathers raised them Europeans up. Islam? Somebody tell me who the Mamluks were. I know about the Mamluks. Somebody tell me about that sword that's on the Marines' ceremonial dress called the Mamluk sword. Anybody know about that? Mamluk? The Mamluks were a group of Europeans, right? That the Moors, when they went into countries and overthrew the Europeans, right? We took those children and raised them up in Islam, right? And they became Muslims, right? And they stopped doing the barbarity that their forefathers did. Islam? You'd be surprised. Some of these Europeans is out here at them marches, right? You'd be surprised what some of them are studying. You'd be surprised what some of them had access to in their grandparents' libraries that you didn't have access to. Some of them are reading about what your forefathers were. That, you know what? They're not Negroes, blacks, and colors. Look what our forefathers did to these people. We got to stop this. That's for the ones that's altruistic. Some aren't. Some are not. Right? But some are out there with good intentions. Islam, Morris? And it's to be honored. All right? Now, it says, for it was they who transmitted the treasures of Greek literature from the Middle Ages to the Renaissance. Let me pause there. How many people heard of Plato? Aristotle? Socrates? Pythagoras? Cicero? You've heard of these? Right? How do you know about them? How do you even know about them? Because you know there's a period of time that the Europeans forgot about them. Why? When did Rome fall in the ancient world? What year? Y'all been coming here to this temple for a while. Y'all should know this date. Earlier. 476 AD. right? 476 AD was when the barbarian tribes sacked Rome and overthrew it, right? The barbarians didn't care nothing about books, right? So they burned them. Islam, in that process, the European was losing his history. Who was it that went in and saved those manuscripts and took them and spread them out all over the world? It was the Moors. Islam Moors? Prophet's gonna get into that. It says, they who originated the graceful forms of which the Taj Mahal and the Alhambra are the most famous examples. Somebody tell me, what's the Taj Mahal? Anybody? What is it? Anybody seen it? Islam. You know, it was actually supposed to be two of them.
Yeah, it was supposed to be right across from the great brother. His son took over rulership and locked him away in the kingdom because
he was killing the treasury building that mosque. But what did they do in the building of it? They built it in such a way that when the sun hit it, it would cast the exact shadow because it was a river. He was going to build the black one on the other side. So he built it so in such a way when the sun hit it, it cast a shadow on the other side, which the black was the other version of it, right? But again, the prophet's telling you it was the Moorish Muslims that built that. What is the Alhambra? Everybody know? Granada, Spain, right? Well, it's looks like a mosque. It was a fortress and a castle, right? They consider it to be the finest example of Moorish architecture. That's why I named our publishing company Alhambra 19. Islam. So Google Alhambra and pull it up and see what it is. The thing is beautiful. There's whole videos on it. Islam. Appreciate that, Mo. Yeah, we don't kill bugs, Mo. You know what I'm saying? Unless he was gonna kill you, Mo, we'd have took his form. But you know what I mean? He didn't look like he was gonna mean you no harm. All right. Moving forward, it says. The prophet's telling you who you are as a Moorish Muslim, right? It says, it was they who contributed to the sciences of algebra and chemistry, astronomy and medicine. They who dotted the Saracen Empire with universities and who built at Baghdad and Cairo the most renowned universities of the world. Don't tell me nothing about no oldest universities being Harvard, Yale, and Oxford. That's yesterday to us. Islam Moors, you know, if you're talking about Moorish Spain, you'd be talking about the University of Salamanca. Right? You're talking about Morocco, right? Timbuktu, you know, the University of Janneh and Songhai, right? If you're talking about Morocco, it's the University of Qarawiyyin, the University of Fez, right? You had them in Baghdad and Cairo because we had different caliphates, and we always had different universities set up because you can't be a good Muslim if you're illiterate. If you can't read, you can't obey the law. If you can't read or comprehend, you can't obey the law. Islam Moors? See, our people can read, but can we comprehend? Islam Moors? All right? We'll hit y'all with something right quick. House Bill 426. Y'all read this? It was a law that was just passed. You're a citizen, right? House, right in HB 426, just signed by Governor Kemp of the state of Georgia like 4 days ago, right? Which brings somewhat of a first step to hate crime legislation to Georgia. When you read it, the teeth aren't that long on it. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think like for a misdemeanor, they add like six months to a year extra with like a $2,000 fine. And then for a felony, I think it's like 2 years and $5,000 fine. It's all right, right? But why is it just all right? Because you weren't at the table, right? Because the people that are affected by it most weren't there to speak up. But because of the pressure of the stuff that's going on around the country, they had to do something. Because they didn't want to look like with Georgia's history, they didn't want like, you know, they were still holding Confederate thought. Islam? All right, moving forward. Now, prophet says, during those centuries of ecclesiastical despotism, let's stop there because we might not know what that means. Ecclesiastical, what does ecclesiastical mean? Of or pertaining to the what? Or the church, which legally the church encompasses temples, mosques, so on and so forth, right? So don't get that kind of phobia. Right? Why the prophet tells you, don't speak radical agitating against the church. Because a lot of times we don't know what we're talking about, especially when it talks about legally. Islam Moors? All right? So, despotism, a despot is a tyrant. Right? So, ecclesiastical despotism is the church tyrants. Right? Be patient, Moors. I'm going to close out in a minute. It says, when the Christian church suppressed all intellectual activities, save those that were theological, causing the talent that reproduces to supplant the genius that creates. Mohammedans did all in their power to encourage and stimulate research in every branch of human inquiry. Anybody ever studied astronomy before? All right? Of the 88 fixed constellations, What kind of names, what are the name origins? What are those names coming from? What language? The majority of them. No. Not the majority of them. Some are, but not the majority. The majority of them are Arabic. The majority of them. How was that?
Because we have the stars.
Exactly, because you were the original astronomers. We're the ones that took the ancient Egyptian and the Babylonian stuff and came, you know what I'm saying, into Europe and, you know what I'm saying, was breaking all this stuff down. You know what I'm saying? And that stuff ends up in our textbooks now, you know, books that you can access now because of books your forefathers documented and introduced to Europe. And when the Europeans overthrew you, he kept it alive, and now you have access to that library that he inherited from your forefathers, right? So when we say, oh, the European created this, you sound like a fool, especially to him, because he knows he got it from you. All right? He says, the Moors or Mohammedans added to the beauty and grandeur of Spain. So a lot of times, what does that mean? A lot of the Byzantine, not Byzantine on that side, that would be Catholic on that side, you know, Roman Catholic. But on that side, a lot of the, cathedrals that we overtook, we took and we didn't tear them down, right? We just added to them. We added domes to them and added Islam. Exactly. Because we didn't come in suppressing people because of their religious beliefs. We never were that. Islam? Right? So how can I say? The hatred that our people have towards religion is because of what you think religion is as handed down by the European. When you study what it was to your forefathers, it was a phenomenal thing. Now, because of human nature, it had its flaws. Islam, but that don't mean the structure as came down from the divine was flawed, right? Moving forward, a couple more paragraphs, Moors. For centuries, art, science, literature, and chivalry flourished amongst them, while the rest of Europe was still sunk in the gloom of the Dark Ages. What's chivalry?
I would say,
keep it simple. Give me an example of chivalry. If I were to do it, if I'm walking with a sister, open the door for a sister.
I was going to say, being a man to
Islam, you know, but then not in a brutish sense, right? Because as a man, you have force, but it's not necessarily that. But it's just making sure that you're adding to humanity and you're demonstrating etiquette. Islam, Muslims are very big on etiquette. We have something called adab, A-D-A-B. Y'all heard this word, adab? Adab is etiquette, all right? Meaning that if Brother Latte invites me to his house, and he has his family there, right? His wife and his children are in the house, right? And, you know, he opens the door and he walks in. As a Muslim, I wait till he invites me in because, you know, the women and children, they're in the home, they might not be decent. So as a Muslim, I wait. Islam more is all well? He said, hold on more, let me go check. He'll close the door and go check, make sure all is well, and he come back, Islam more, all is well. And then when I come in, I don't just plop down on the couch. Islam more, may I have a seat? I don't care if I've known him 20 years and I've been over his house 3 million times. Every time I get there, Islam more, may I have a seat? That's Moorish and that's Muslim. Right? So that's called adab. A person with bad adab. When somebody says Islam to you, you have to return it, not just, if the Moor says Islam more, and I go, Islam. That's rude. That's rude and that's not Moorish. Islam, somebody says Islam to you, Quranically from the Quran of Mecca, you have to return the greeting in a greater way than it was returned to you. Somebody says Islam more, because I'm raising your vibration. You attempted to raise mine down, and I got to double that, giving it back to you. That's Islam, right? And when people see you in the world demonstrating that, they know you set apart, right? This clearly is not a brute or a savage here. Islam, which by the way, I cut 2 children's hair today and they had t-shirts on that says savage. Islam Moors? All right, but we put that to the side for now. All right? But it says, the Moors were the most ingenious and industrious of the subjects of Spain. Their expulsion from Spain in 1610 was one of the chief causes of the decadence of that country, for both agriculture and industry fell into decay after their departure. So after you left Spain, it fell apart, right? It really hasn't recovered too much from when you left. Islam? Mohammedanism makes no distinction between high and low, rich and poor. It is like the sky, it has room for all, right? Which, by the way, that's a degree because this is called a canton right here on the flag, right? These stars right here, right? In another school of thought, this is called a canopy or the starry decked heaven. Islam Moors, when the prophet is saying that this right here, say Islam is like the sky has room for all, that was the intent of this. That's why it's an immigrant nation. Our forefathers set up something where people that were being oppressed from monarchies and all kind of different governments could come here and change their station in life. That's what we set up. We allowed it. Come on, come. All your huddled masses, so, the writing that's on the Statue of Liberty, right? Who has a broken shackle on her, right? Who's also pregnant, symbolizing the birth of a new nation. Not what D.W. Griffin was talking about in 1916, right? But a literal birth of a new nation in the sense of the age of Emmanuel. Islam? The Quran should be of interest. Now here's why, right? This is why we read in the Quran. Both the Quran of Mecca and the Holy Quran, the more sensible of America. The Quran should be of interest to all readers. It is the Bible of meaning the reading, right? The Bible of the Mohammedans, ruling over the customs and actions of over 200 million of people. Now it's over 1 billion, right? It is a work of importance, whether considered from a religious, philosophical, or a literary standpoint. Islam Moors, if you were to, again, I posed something earlier, if the Constitution or that the government collapsed, Allah forbid, right? And you have to govern yourselves, right? And there's a death in one of your family, and there's an estate that has to be divided up amongst the surviving family. What laws would you go to in order to do that? Say again, Sharia? Sharia law, Sharia, right? Which is what they say, Quran and Sunnah, right? The Quran and the traditions of the Prophet Muhammad, right? I give an example. Or even for murder, how to deal between that, so on and so forth, right? Quran of Mecca, Surah 2, starting at Ayat 178, right? In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, most merciful. It says, O ye who have faith, the law of equality is prescribed for you to you in cases of murder. The free for the free, the slave for the slave, the woman for the woman. But if any remission is made by the brother of the slain, then grant any reasonable demand and compensate him with handsome gratitude. This is a concession and a mercy from your Lord, and whomever exceeds the limits shall be in grave chastisement. In the law of equality, there is the saving of life to you, O ye men of understanding, that you may restrain yourselves. It is prescribed when death approaches any of you. If he leave any goods, he make a bequest to parents and next of kin, according to reasonable usage. This is due from the God-fearing. If anyone changes the bequest after hearing it, meaning the will, the guilt shall be on those who make the change, for Allah hears and knows all things. But if anyone fears the partiality or wrongdoing on the part of the testator, meaning the person giving testimony, right, and brings about a settlement between the parties concerned, there is no wrong in him, for Allah is oft forgiving and most merciful. Islam Moors, that is an example. There's many examples in the Quran of Mecca that show you how to do that. Islam Moors, this is how your forefathers set up governments. They used this book. What was the first book that the Europeans translated into the English after they overthrew the Moors? The Quran of Mecca. Because they said if the Moors built a government and rule or empire and ruled it for 800 years off of this, we need that. But now we get high Ahmadi on a high camel with one hump instead of two and think we got to figure it out. We don't need the Quran because we got the U.S. Constitution and so on and so forth. It's good to have those things, but they're not ancient. These are ancient. And the Constitution, so on and so forth, was founded on this. Even international law, what do you think your Geneva Convention and laws of not mistreating people that you capture in war, that came out of here. Islam? Now it says, in the promotion for plans for the betterment of mankind, there has ever been some kind of opposition. And strange as it may seem, such opposition has come from sources where there were no ideas or the lack of courage to force attention to ideas. Whether in church, state, or the social community, any attempt to do anything out of the usual way seldom fails to receive criticism. Not only because the course cannot be pursued legally or that it is unreasonable, but it has been considered in terms as new. Not that it's new. It has been considered. The Moorish Science Temple of America has received some opposition and criticism. In the main, the opposition has come from certain Christian ministers. Notice the prophet didn't mention their names. That's not something that we do. We don't name drop. Because part of civilization is that you don't put on Front Street people that you have fallen out of sync with. That's not dignified. It's not civilized. Notice on the House of Floor and Senate of Congress and Senate, senators, when they debate, because that's what that chamber is for, debate, they don't mention each other by name, by first name or name period. You notice that? They'll say the honorable senator from Alabama, I disagree with how you such and such and such. He won't go, Raphael is tripping. Because what does that do? Now that, remember, the spirit of a man is in him. Right? Now he got to respond as a man. What you mean? Now he got to become this. Right? As opposed to now, to Robert's rule of order or parliamentary law, which comes from monarchy, the rule of the court of the Sultan, Islam, you deal with things in dignity and you leave a person's manhood and womanhood intact, even when you fall out of sync. That's government. Islam? So it says, possibly because the promotion of the Mohammedan faith among our people in the United States is considered by them in terms as something new, which means it's been here. Islam been here in America before Columbus. That's what the prophet's telling you, right? Whatever the reasons may be for their opposition, the legal right to oppose citizens, individuals, and organizations alike for their religious belief does not exist in the United States. The door of religious freedom made by the American Constitution swings open to all, and people may enter through it and worship as they desire, or according to previous documents, according to the dictates of your own conscience. All right? It says, without, now listen to this more, this is science. Without religious freedom, no search for truth will be possible. Without religious freedom, no discovery of truth will be useful. Without religious freedom, religious progress will be checked, and we will no longer march forward toward the nobler life which the future holds for the races of men. And without religious freedom, there will be no inspiration to lift our heads and gaze with fearlessness into the vast beyond, seeking a hope eternal. So when they did the Bill of Rights, what's the First Amendment? What does it deal with? Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a what? Religion. Meaning that in there should be no state-sanctioned religion. They can't say that this is a Christian country because it's not. Islam? Can't nobody come and say this is a Muslim country because it's not. Can't come and say it's a Sikh country because it's not. Islam? Everyone may worship in this nation pursuant to the Constitution according to the dictates of their own conscience. Islam, Moors? And what else is in the First Amendment? The right to petition Congress for the redress of grievances, freedom of press, the freedom of assembly. All of that is under religious rights. Oh, but we don't need religion, though. I don't need to be a Muslim. I just want to be a Moorish American. Or really? You in violation of everything that was brought to you by saying that. Islam? That's why you can't know what it is to be a Moorish American on the internet. I don't care how many YouTube videos you watch, Islam, or how many brothers you talk to on the street corner in the West End. It was hard to hold post while the Moors demonstrating on that. I was over there cracking up because I've seen it. I've seen this thing, right? Last paragraph, Moors, and with that, I'll lower the meeting. It is a sad weakness in us, after all, to oppose our fellow men for their religious beliefs. And if there are angels who record the sorrows of men as well as their sins, they certainly know how many and deep are the useless sorrows that spring forth from such opposition. Possibly, love and time will cancel our ancient hatreds in this regard and prove that in mankind, tolerance is better than unwarranted opposition. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is demonstrating the degree of Muhammad when the Prophet Muhammad said there is no compulsion in religion, right? We are not to force our beliefs on anyone, right? You're not going to see the Moors out there arguing with nobody about their religion. We won't do it. And if you see them, know that those aren't the Prophet's Moors. Islam Moors? All right? So, and also too, when prophets of Allah start using words like possibly, and we are trying to uplift fallen humanity, know that the situation among us is that dire. Right? Meaning the prophet was saying, I don't really know if y'all gonna do it. Because he put it on us. He did what we had to do, but it's up to us to follow through. Islam, Moors? Islam. And with that, I'll lower the meeting. Islam? Islam. Islam? Islam. 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 Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, noble Heru Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is singing out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Heru Ali. Islam? 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 Islam. Islam. All praise is due to Allah and the highest of honors to his holy and divine prophet, Prophet Noble Heru Ali. Islam, Moors? 2 points in that. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Moors, we give you an awakening. You're not special just because you're Moorish American. You're not. Right? You just now have what every other American citizen has. Don't make you special. Islam? It's a lot of times gratitude, my body. You bring those up. A lot of times we feel as though because we ain't used to having nothing. You ever seen somebody never had anything? Right? They take the little thing that they have, gratitude, my body. You got it? They take the little thing that they have and they run around. Everybody's like, yeah, you know, everybody has running water. You know, you're not special because you have running water. Islam, you know. And one more thought. At ease, my body. And also, too, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. So if you don't agree with the prophet, that means you don't agree with anything of Moorish Science Temple of America. That means leave Moorish American alone. That means leave Moorish American Muslim alone, because that's solely based on the foundation laid by the prophet, Noble Heru Ali. Islam? Praise Allah, Moors. I love you, Moors.
Love you back.
All right? Act 7 of the Moorish Science Temple of America states, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband. Take care of your children. Look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of uplifting fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your prophet, holy prophet, Noble Heru Ali, through the guidance of his father God Allah. Islam, Moors? So, Sister Acting Secretary and I were, we kind of like opened the books and we're looking where all the members were at relative to Act 7. And I noticed that there were at least 2 amongst us who every point that Act 7 is hitting, with the exception of husband, because they're not married yet, they hit them consistently every month for as long as we can count back. And that's something to be honored. Islam, Moors? Because it takes a lot of discipline to be sacrificed on what you say that you are. Islam? All right? So we just want to give a humble token of our appreciation for their labors. Islam, Moors? Brother Akil, please come forward. Brother Akil Karim Bey. And Brother Raphael, please come on. All right?
Raphael.
Got it? So we have a friend of ours, Temple 19 has a lot of friends that come through that y'all don't know about. But one of our friends, he has a screen press and he prints t-shirts and so on and so forth, or whatever. So he came by and brought these shirts by today. Islam. So we just wanted to gift our brothers with these shirts, Brother Raphael. We're going to give you the ruler of the land demonstration, Mo. White means purity, purity means God, God means the ruler of the land, Mo. Islam? So, Mo, we're gonna hand this to you. Pardon, I don't know how to fold shirts, Mo. My wife does that. So pardon yourself, Mo. Islam, Mo.
Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Keep up, please, Mo. Keep up the good work, Mo. Temple 19 needs you, Mo. Islam? Praise Allah, Mo. This much, Mo. And see, just try to steal your birthright. See, Prophet said if you ain't careful, your brother will enslave you again. Islam. And Brother Akil, we're going to give you the black. Is this black, my body? Yes. Okay, I'm a little bit colorblind, more pardon self. We're going to give you the black demonstration. I don't want to give the degree and be wrong. What is meant by the word black? Black cord, it sounds me death, but there's also a holy ministry in death. Islam? All right? So death is also a transformation, more Islam. So may you keep transforming and unfolding, Islam, more, and stay strong on the path of Prophet Noble Heru Ali, more. Islam, more benefits are coming. Islam? Indeed. Praise Allah, more. We love you, more. Praise Allah, more. You dismissed. Islam? Takbir! 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 Islam, Moors. And Moors, You don't do right to receive something in return. You do right because it's right. Islamos, I'm gonna show you a thought that's weaved itself into religious nonprofits that should be checked. And that thought is, well, we've had ones ask us, well, if I give a donation to the temple, can I write it off and get it back? When I get it, when I file my taxes. Well, more, yes, you could do that, but if you do that, you didn't give anything.
Right.
See, that's the European. He taught y'all that. That's not Moorish. Islam. So if you ask, so when one's ask me that, respectfully, and it's kind of like a burden because Allah through the Prophet teach you how to hear stuff, how to hear the spirit in something. So you're not just, it's not the words of the spirit, and it's a little disappointing. But praise Allah, they hold their seat in the groves, right, and unfold while they're out there. Because you see, one thing about these lessons, they'll work on you. Over time, you'll get it, you're like, you know what, I shouldn't be asking something back. I'm doing it because it's right. And then Allah, in His own time, if He see fit, will give you something. But Allah is the best of knowers. I can't say that. Islam? Allah is the best of givers. More Islam, more. And you should be the most grateful, demonstrating El-Shakir, or the El-Shakuru, the grateful one. We got a chapter called Gratitude. Islam? So praise Allah more, and the highest of honors to His Prophet Noble Raleigh. Like I said, I love y'all more, and ain't nothing you can do about it. And I'm going to love you till you learn to love yourself. Islam? Praise Allah. Everyone please rise. Face the east. And I'm going to say this while I got y'all risen. If you haven't joined the Moorish Science Temple of America, talk to me and the secretary after the meeting, right? Because if for nothing else, we can get your application filled out. And we'll just take the application, put it aside until you're ready. Islam, you need to start to say, if you take one step towards Allah, He'll take 10 towards you. Some say 2, some say 10.
If you take one step towards Allah, you take 2 steps towards you. If you take 2 steps towards Him, you become one.
Islam. It depends on the madhab, the school of thought. School of thought I came from and said 10, but praise Allah. So in other words, if you do something, Allah do more.
Yeah, right.
That's the spirit. Praise Allah. We on the same spirit, brother. So, so consider. Islam, my brothers? Islam? All right. All right, please hold your feet at a 45-degree angle, standing on your square. Your heels will be touching like this. Bring 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Invoking the sacred presence of the 7 Elohim that created everything that ever was, is, and evermore to be. Please repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through His holy prophet, Heru Ali. Ameen. Islam must hold your position. Raise your hands this way. This is called dua. We recite Surah Fatiha from the Holy Quran of Mecca. Islam. For those that know in Arabic, you can please repeat after me. If not, just follow along in the spirit. Islam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi 'alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. Islam, boys. Islam. Praise Allah. Islam.